Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Gemba 360 Back to Basics session. My name is Nihal Samara. I'm the General Counsel and Legal Director here at Kaizen Synergy Law Firm, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's session. Today's session starts us looking at the risk management and risk register area. Now, the risk management button is this section down here in this demo site that we have. And if I simply click on the button, then what will come up is the three options that all of you should have access to. One of those is the incident form, one of those is the hazard form, and another is the risk form. Now, the first question that we're going to cover off is what is the difference between all of these forms? There may be some variations depending on what your dashboard has. Some agencies like to have these three all under one form. Some, like most agencies we see, also like to have them split up into 2 or 3 forms. So what do these in fact do, and what's the difference between all of them is where we will start, and then we will actually look at the incident form to start with, and then over the next few weeks we'll actually look at the hazard form, risk form, as well as the risk register is where the organizational risk register is where we're going to. So the incident form essentially is when an incident happens. So for example, there's a slip, or there's a fall, or there's a issue with a client around aggressive behavior. All of those are types of incidents. The hazard form is where you've identified or staff have identified a hazard. And in this case, what this is looking at is, for example, a tear in the carpet, something that can cause a potential incident, but it's identified as a hazard. The risk form is slightly different again. The risk form, and I will just open this one up. The risk form, when we go into it, is to look at some types of risks, again, that have been identified. You might have them sitting as a compliance risk, a financial risk. It's more organizational wide type of risks as well too. And you'll see that we've got a sample of these that are also listed here as well. The idea is that these can flow into what we call the risk register. It is not something that the risk register is an organizational wide risk register that most staff don't have access to in most agencies. And this essentially is to allow you to have staff convey risks that they might want to have looked at as well too. So if we go back to the risk management button, we see this. Now, once we open up the notification of incident, first of all, the main screen that we get to is this table here. We will show you the admin controls next week when we go into this a bit more. But for now, we're just going to show you the standard form of register table of what most staff see. Now, when I log into this and I have a look at my incident forms, the first thing that I will see is this table here that shows my forms. These are the forms that I have lodged. If I click on the next tab along, I will see forms for users I manage. So those are the forms that of the people that actually report to me. And if I have any teams that report to me, then I will see this section here. Now, when we look at the incident forms for this, all we need to do is click on add a new entry, and this screen opens up. Now, this screen opens up and this shows me the incident form of what I currently have, and the format might be slightly different for your agency. So let's just walk through this and I'll show you what happens within this form directly as we go through it. Now, essentially what this form, and as I said, this form might be slightly different for your agency when you go into it. And if I click on this, here we are here, I'll just bring it up. So we can set these up, and you will find that some fields are made as required fields. So these are the fields that a person needs to complete. And so in this case, the person reporting it is Fred Flintstone, because that's automatically the name that's logged here. If I go back to the dashboard, here it is here, and that's the name that will always appear. So whoever's logged in will be where I've actually seen it. Now, if I go into this, I can see, right, it actually involved, let's say, a visitor, location of the incident. What I am going to say is suite 11, 9, just put in our address here at our law firm. Okay. And it's going to ask me for the date of the incident, which I'll just mark in today's date, the time of the incident. Now, it hasn't asked me the time here. That's not been made as a required field. What it has asked me is the required description of the incident. Now, this is where we can actually place it in. And in this case, I'm just going to say slipped on carpet walking in the door. Okay. Now, as you can see, you can add in further information as you need to. What it will ask me is, when has this been done? And I'm just going to put in, it was done today, of the date that and no, there's no supporting evidence. So I'll leave that as not applicable. Now, the other information it will ask me is, was there anything else? And the reason that we had if other please specify as a mandatory field is to make sure that there wasn't anything else that was actually specified as well too. And in this case, I'm just going to say it was myself. So in this case, we're going to mark it in. And you can actually, as the admins, actually control what are the required fields that you want to have in here as well too. And that's important to be able to know that yourselves actually have complete control over what fields can be made mandatory as well too. And I'm just going to put in knee injury as well. And again, once I go down, what it then asks me is to rate the risk. And this may appear in your risk matrix as well. Now, if it's marked as low, then essentially it will not escalate. It'll just go to my line manager and ask that for them to be completed. If it's medium, then you can see we've got 8 to 14 days to complete it. And I can see a question has already come up when I've said that. Serious, if I mark it as serious, then it's 1 to 7. And high is that, yes, it must be actioned today. Now, when I say it must be completed, I can see a few questions have just come through already, just asking, well, who completes it? So who completes it is my line manager. Now, if I go in and I mark it as save form, then what comes up on this is that it requires me to actually mark, has it been done? And if I click on save form, here we are, it'll mark that the form has been successfully saved, and also it'll give me now the last time that I've actually raised an incident. And you can see here that the form number, it jumps from 1 to 3. So that shows me that, okay, my form has been submitted because it's up here, and essentially has it been actioned by my line manager. Now, if I go in and click on edit, I can now add further information to it. So if I say, well, it wasn't just my knee, it was and elbow, I can go in and say, was there anything else I needed to actually place in here? No, I can't do that as yet because my line manager hasn't completed. Was there any equipment damage? Yes, I fell on my phone. Now, again, I can save all of this. So the idea of these forms is that I can save this. My manager will be notified. It also means that if I click on the logs, what you'll see is that I completed this form at 1:42, and then a minute later, I actually went through and also updated the form. So you can see from this and from what you're able to view here, you can essentially see all of this information that's at hand. Now, one thing I will just jump to very, very briefly on this, which I did want to show you, was what can my line manager see when they log in and what's actually expected for them. Now, what I am just going to do is actually show you some of the tools that are available for my line manager. Now, when they go in, what you'll be able to see on this is this. My line manager can essentially go in and actually look at the graphing tools that is also visited across this and see how many forms have I lodged, what is the incident information, what does it relate to, and also what sites does it apply to as well too. So as we're going through these forms, and we will show you this next week as we go through, what we wanted to show you today was how to lodge an incident form as well. You'll find that we are able, and my line manager can actually jump in and actually have a look both across the risk register and also the risk management. But when I actually look at my own dashboard and go back to have a look at it, if I jump back, then my dashboard is slightly different because I don't have the risk register button that's on here at the moment. So today's session was just about lodging the incident form and how to do that as well too. What we will be showing you next week is how the line manager actions it and goes from there, and what also they can pull off and look at as well too. As I said, these sessions are kept nice and short and succinct. We like to keep them to about 15 minutes to give you an idea of where to go with these as well too. If you do have any questions, then please reach out to us on 1300 360 360 or email us at support@gemba360.com. Thank you for joining us today. Stay safe and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.